Welcome to Shona Ray Studios, episode 10, Converse Subversives. And we are still working with the red shoes and Baba Yaga at this point, so very excited to share what we did this week. But first, we would like to say, in the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, the Métis Nation, Region 3, and all people, Indigenous and non, who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta, land back. And there we go. And thanks to Kada, we're still doing this thing we're doing, live streaming from our studio. And so I'd like to, I think we're good now, and I think what I'd like to do is let you know that Brian Batista is going to be coming down and sharing his little bit of spring-like energy with us today. And are we going to go to his website? Yeah, let's do that. Brian Batista is part of C-Space. He teaches here. He teaches at AU Arts. He's the founder of CUF, which is Calgary Underground Film Festival. He is learning to become a tattoo artist. During COVID, he started that, and his grandmother had tattoos, a lot of tattoos, which he didn't know. So that's also exciting, eh? He's such an artist. He's just so skilled and so creative, and he just lives his art, which I just adore. Because if you're going to do this thing, you may as well have fun. I think I've said that before. So are we? Yeah, he's got the best website.
Yes.
I love the way he just this is what I've done, and he puts it all out there, and there's
so
no
much.
holding back, and there is a lot. He's very prolific. So he's going to come down in a few minutes and join us. So let's get on with the red shoes. We're getting very close to the finish line here, folks. We're going to start by showing you that we started needle felting the head. So have we got that lined up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's let her roll. And so what I noted, I showed you before that I twisted the wire that was coming out of her head into a spiral. And then I just, this of course it takes time to needle felt, but I start by twisting the roving in around the wire, and then I just keep adding and adding and adding, and then at some point I know that I want it to be firm enough to hold the eyes, but not so firm that I can't embed them into the wool. So here I go. I thought I really cut. Oh yeah, and what I also did is I took this red wool that is very thick for knitting that I found about 10 years ago, and when I found it I went, oh my god, I'm going to use that in the legs and arms of my dolls when I make them. Unbeknownst to me, I managed to actually keep it and use it, and here we are. Felting it, and I did do some tests a couple of years ago with it just to make sure it would work, and I'm felting it right into the head so that that it's well embedded, and eventually some of that red will seep up, which will be really cool, into the face, kind of all blotchy. But I think when we finish the face we'll be adding some yellow and red, like bruised. I want a bruised kind of look to this piece. So we're getting enough on the head now, where we're going to be adding the eyes soon. So I'm looking forward to, this is the beginning of the end, my friends. This is the end. And it's very exciting. Lots of just shaping at this point. Just keep adding, adding, adding. Poke, 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 as my husband says to me. Pokety poke, poke, poke. And even more, even more. And now I'm going to introduce the little eyes. So I twist them, make sure that those wires that I left out twist so that I can embed them into the wool and needle felt around them, and hopefully they will never fall out. That's always my hope. And of course then I just start with one and get it going. And it's in there. I still have a lot of felting to do to add to it, but there you go. I think that's done. And this is where we're at then. There we go. And I will, you see the red wool in there? I'm going to be bringing that red wool into the arm and into the legs. And so the next video we're going to show, I believe, is it the TikTok video? I'm on TikTok now, Shona Ray 57, and having a blast with it.
You are the TikTok master.
Well,
you're doing so well.
I've done some really bad TikTok videos, and I'm going to share one of them with you today. But we're going to share the red shoes.
What's that the sound of? That's the sound of little hands clapping and a little toe tapping.
15-second
What's
clips.
that
That's
the
all
sound
we get.
of?
So
That's the sound.
there you go. 15 seconds. I did a video for one of my fairy tale rings that took me 4 years to make. I had 15 seconds to talk about it. It really teaches you how to hone what you really want to convey. Of course, there was lots more I'd like to convey, but I have fun with that anyways. So here we go. In the meantime, I did some painting. So let's show the painting of the red shoes and I just start. What I do is I just take the paint straight onto a little rag. A lot of these rags come from my mom's house. She had one housekeeper that stashed rags. So it was pretty funny because she would not let me take any rags home. But then one day I found this huge stash of rags. So I stole a bunch. What the heck, eh? Yeah. Anyways, it always makes me feel good to use something that my mom used. And especially when it came to tools, because my mom was a maker too. And I think I got a lot of that from her. So here I am just rubbing the red into the heels, and then I go and I kind of rub it off. So all the texture that I created on those pieces of material kind of holds on to the paint. And that's kind of how I do it. And then even though these pieces are not going to be red, I want to put some red in the background. If you work with oils, you know that layering adds a richness to the finish. So I like to layer, even though I know they're not going to be red when they're done, there's going to be that, I don't know, that feeling is going to continue through all the pieces. So just rub them, and then took purple because the idea of bruising was important to me in these pieces. Just how drugs and the opioid crisis has more than just bruised people's arms. it's bruised their lives, it's bruised their heart, it's bruised their spirit, and it's bruised the community spirit. So I want to try and convey that. So a little yellow on top of the purple, and I did leave these for quite a few hours before I added these other layers, because otherwise you just rub off the paint or it just turns to mud. So yeah, so just playing around. I did add a little bit of blue, but very little of it came out, and some of it turned green. I had green in there, but I rubbed it all off. I didn't like it. But again, there'll be residues of that left, which is what I love about oils. Oh, I just love them so much. So here we go. I think that's the beginning again. So great. So here we go. We are ready with the red shoes. Next week they'll be put together and maybe even hung on the doll, probably. And the little camera two. Are we there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're just so sweet little hands. Little hands clapping and little toe tapping. There you go. So there we go with the red shoes. I believe that's everything. I did do other things, but I'm saving them for next week because we're getting very close to the finish. So that's the red shoes for today. Here we go, getting almost done. And I hear somebody coming into my studio, so that must be our
Ready
friend.
for my close up?
Oh,
My
there we go.
boyfriend's back and we're gonna be in trouble.
Hey now, hey
Oh,
now.
look, I'm dressed as an artist today. I
Oh,
just did a funny photo shoot.
oh, did you?
Yeah, making some posters for what's coming up next. You gotta clip me up, don't you?
No, we're just going to use this one because we were having feedback problems.
Hello.
Because we're so close. You know?
Okay, so people were like,
Yeah.
it's going.
So,
Your hair
Mr.
looks great.
Thank you. And your hat looks great.
Yeah.
Do you know the history of these hats?
Cover this up. Well, I'll tell you the history. I studied
Okay.
at the Paris Academy of Art.
Well, then
and
know
you
the
can't
history.
leave Paris without a hat.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the reason why artists are considered this is the artist's hat
Yes.
is because centuries ago when you studied in Paris,
Okay.
you had to wear that hat to show everyone wore something that said what guild they
Okay.
belonged to, what
Makes
group
sense.
of people.
It's like that in Japan now.
Yeah, so if you were a student of art,
Yes.
you wore the black beret.
And it was France that did that.
I'm pretty sure it was
Because you
France
see
that started it.
that
Yeah, that's
in
because
the arts?
it became...
So why do mimes wear it?
Well, now everybody who is creative wears them,
Okay.
right?
Makes sense.
Then it became this thing, a symbol of creativity. And don't you think that Brian deserves to wear a beret?
I'm
I have a
embarrassed.
semi-answer to the mime thing.
Yeah.
Performance art.
Performance art. So I spent a month and a half studying. I was up at the Paris Academy of Art and stuff, and I studied French immersion. In the first month, no one talked to me. Now I'm walking down the street, there's a sale, I bought a striped shirt, and I bought a beret. No sooner, 10 minutes later, French girls are like asking me for the time, and like, I was like, but because I feel like it's like rude to put on a costume. Like if I go to Japan, I don't wear my karate gi. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's what I felt. But for them, that's like, oh, you're dressed normal. You know what I mean? So people started to talk to me, and I'm like, I wish I knew this a month ago. So, wise words, if you ever go to Paris, dress like Pepe Le Pew.
Okay, people will love you.
People will love you. Yeah,
Yes.
wear a scarf. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you look divine,
So,
my friend. So what are you doing your...
Speaking stick.
what are you doing your photo shoot for?
On Monday, I have figure drawing on Monday morning, and a lot of my clientele don't use Instagram, don't use Facebook, don't like to use the website. So they're saying, we didn't know this was happening. Why don't you put a poster up at Mona Lisa? And I'm like, that is how I used to do this.
Right?
over 2 years ago.
Decades ago.
I was a word of mouth business and I hadn't made a poster. So we decided to take a picture of me and make a poster because I'm going to Swinton's and some of the other art stores on the weekend. We'll put the old paper advertising back up because there's a lot of stuff happening at Atelier Artista right now.
There you go. What else?
I have kids classes on Saturdays, figure that's instructed on Fridays, figure in the morning on Mondays, painting in the afternoons, life short pose Tuesday evenings, 6:30 to 9:30 tonight, and my staff's birthday, and Luke, our guy who keeps the time, it's his birthday, so I bought a cake. So if you come tonight, there's a bonus. You're going to get some cake.
And is there instruction tonight, or is it your...
No, it's just drop-in. It's
a
$21 to do drop-in. I'm trying to keep the prices absolutely low as possible. But I will tell you that Luke and I, it's not instructed like we stand up in front of the class, but we're always there to help. And so is the rest of the community. Like, the people who come out to these things
They're
just
into
so
sharing.
friendly. Yeah, it's a community thing. It's not a class. I think... I don't want to scare people away, but my classes are intense, like notes and stuff on the board. Like afterwards, you're like ready for bed. So it's not that harsh. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, and isn't that what I
Should
just
be
said?
fun.
He has fun.
Yeah, we have fun. I won't be wearing this hat all night, I think.
I have a question about your classes because I've been into a drop-in in the evening.
Yeah.
But I haven't been to one of your classes.
Yeah.
So what are those like?
So my classes are academic. It's a skills-based art school. It's not a, let's run around and paint. I'm not, and for the kids, I'm not a babysitter. In fact, I teach them the same content, nearly the same way, but the expectations are different. I start every class with a 20-minute demo, notes and theory, sometimes a slideshow too. Not everyone who's at that level of art has taken 4 years of art history plus, like myself.
Right.
And I like to have what are we doing here? And basically, my teaching is to give you a roadmap to fill your brain full of stuff so that you stop second guessing yourself. I think that having too much knowledge allows you to innovate and be free. And so my classes are they would say academic. It's an atelier and not an art school. It's an atelier and not an art store that has classes. When I went to art school, excluding one fantabulous teacher, I never ever saw the teachers make art. They walked around with their little pamphlets and they talked about what you should do. But except for Richard Halliday, who used to rip up my art and say, Batista, this is a piece of, I'll keep the swear out, this is junk, and he'd step on it, and I wouldn't cry. But you could never do that today. I'm not that harsh, but I'm a trained eye, and I think then you can ask a lot of questions. I would say that the atelier is a higher level of art, though I do have beginner classes. And it's more academic. It's like, how do you use a pencil?
It's important to learn the skill base.
Yeah.
And then you can break the rules or, as you said, innovate as you go. But if you don't know what the skill base is, then you don't know when you're breaking the rules or don't know when you're stepping off the cliff, which is a great thing to do, but only if you actually have something behind you to break the fall.
Two things I see other than like drawing the feet too small or something on a figure is ambiguity. I can really tell where people don't know what to do. A lot of that in dabblers and mid-level artists. And they are the ones who don't think they need classes. And then they'll waste 20 years of their life when I could have just been actually a core shadow and a cast shadow can cross, but they don't get darker, like those types of things. And mud. Paint is hard. And I think when you first start out, you play around. But if you're just given some structure and some order that it goes, you will be 10 times more effective. And, I had my first degree at AU Arts. Then I went on residencies, studied in Europe, Italy, France, all these places, and picked up a lot of things. And then, so one's just about being creative. Here, have ideas, become an individual, find your identity. And that's great. And then in Europe and the ateliers, it's like, I don't give a crap about your ideas. This is how you operate the machinery. You'll figure out your ideas later. And I'm in the middle. It's a holistic approach. Because what I think is the age group and the demographic I'm dealing with, they all have great ideas already. So I don't need to teach them ideas. I need to teach them a practical way to deliver those
ideas.
Yeah, with the tools and setting, and what's better and what's worse. I've tried everything. So I don't want people wasting their time buying black paint or from this company. Like, I just tell you all that from experience. The other thing is, an atelier is less than an academy. So in France, they're academies mostly, which means that they're all teaching like a university the same thing. Ateliers they're doing it my way because I learned from those academies kind of idea.
Right.
You follow the master. I have lots of people who've taught me, and then I still keep learning all the time because you will pick up something. I think it's worth taking a class from lots of art teachers, not just me, because their style might be different, or you might see them do something. I had studied with Shane Wolf. So in Paris, I was learning from an American, and we did figurative Zorn palette. And Zorn palette, I think every painter should try a year of. It will change your life. No one wants to do what's hard, though. So I say it, and then, it's like, I tried it once, it was okay. But using only 4 colors.
Okay.
That's it, for a year. And he challenged me to do that, and I did it, and I can paint with my eyes closed now. That's how good that is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I hope Herb gets a chance to check this out. Herb's amazing with color theory and mixing colors and recognizing what makes blue.
Right now?
Probably working, but he'll watch it later.
Yeah.
So.
I'm not sure if those courses for mid-level artists.
Yeah, if there's one, I don't say mid-level beginner because I think you could come in as a beginner and learn stuff. I do have more beginner classes. I feel like high-level artists should take those half the time because they need to unlearn things. That happened to me when I was studying martial arts. Is I have black belt in karate makes you a worse fighter in jiu-jitsu and sistema. You have to unlearn for so long. It's like, oh, this is totally useless. So I get a lot of painters that are like, I've been painting 20 years, and I look at their work and I'm like, year and a half at best. Like, in terms of the skill level that I observe and recognize. That being said, too, I've never finished a painting, so maybe don't listen to me at all. I've sold so many unfinished paintings, you know what I mean?
I used to always tell my students, I'm a liar. And so, and with the idea of the same thing that, based on the philosophy of Crowley. Mm-hmm. Everything, it's just my opinion, and everything is different from the way you look at it. Mm-hmm. So I might teach you the way that it works for me.
Yeah.
But you will find what I'm telling you to be an absolute way to do this skill, and you will find a better way of doing it.
Yeah.
And it's really important to be aware that this is just one person giving you their experience.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that, I think.
In my experience, though, I'll see people who've been doing it a long time or people who are new to it, and the first and most fundamental thing is where they put their palette. And they've got it in the wrong place. And they're inefficient, or they're crossing the axis. So they're looking this way, they're picking up paint over here. And when you cross the axis of your body, you forget what you're doing. So even simple things of where your placement is, I'll see how people are set up. I'll see what paints they've bought. And it's like, well, that's a lot of wasted money. We have a list of our course materials, and it's like $15. I don't think art should cost that much, unless you put in your education and you put in time. When we were at art school, I was painting on cardboard, whatever, but I was still painting. And
I have one of those paintings.
I still draw newsprint every single day because it's cheap. And now people are buying them, and I'm like, well, those aren't archival. Those are just practice. So I might have to start buying nicer papers because people are buying work that won't last. For me, it's just a skill, and anyone can learn a skill. I used to have the joke, people like, can you teach me to draw? And I'd say, can you sign a check? Maybe your audience will understand that, but the millennials are like, what's a check? Yeah. Blockbuster video.
I was horrible at drawing, and when I first started art school in the mid-90s, there was a drawing instructor there, and he taught me how to draw. He said, this is just a skill. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to teach you a skill. You can learn it or not. And at the end of 3 years, in the last semester, we had him again. And he kept saying aloud, oh my God, I can't believe how much better you are at drawing. And finally I just say to him, Bob, Bob, we all know I learned how to draw from you. You know what I mean?
Did he know that? He probably forgot.
Well, he saw. He could see the difference
yeah.
from one to the other, you know.
That's what I like seeing too in my students. Like I can see it from the start of a class. I have tattoo artist students, and all my tattoo community friends are like, "Whoa, they got super good," and I'm like, "Yeah, they're taking art classes from me," and so it lends itself to other things.
Oh, of course.
Because we teach people to see the drawing part's the smallest part of it. It's the translation. It's the way that you translate and transmute that. You're making a notation of what you see. You know, and in life drawing, it's like time management as well. There's a lot of factors. But a lot of people are very ambiguous and uncertain, and they get away with it enough, but they're not telling the viewer more than what's there. At first, we mimic. I still do a lot of mimicry. I look at a thing, I try to copy it exactly. And then you want to make it better, make the neck a little longer, make the arm a little more graceful. And then that next level is you don't need a model there, and you invent. You know, one thing I say is we're a realistic art school. We do realism, so to speak. But if you took a Raphael, a Leonardo da Vinci, and a Michelangelo, who all lived at the same time and were working in the Vatican simultaneously, but if you cut out a character from each of theirs and put them all in one painting, you'd be like, these are aliens. But we call that realism, right? They had such a different visage on how those go together, you know? So there's no right way for sure. There's better ways.
There's just and everybody has to find their own path, right?
Yeah, it's a journey. And that's like the atelier, you know, I think I've created a very nice environment, a very safe space. We don't have I don't rip up people's drawings. We have a policy now after being there 5 years. We don't draw or paint on other students' work, because what would happen is the student would be like, hey, can you look at this and fix it? And I would paint a finger. And at the end of the class, they'd do what I thought was a good job, and they would just obsess about how much better the finger was than the rest of their painting. Having kept and maintained my part of the work, but being blind to how much they advanced. So all of our teachers, we only trace or paint on something else so that they don't take home a piece of you thinking that they aren't.
Good.
I just noticed that in my work. I'll just draw an arm and they'll be like, oh, I know where to put it, how big to make it, you know, I know how to do that already. So not to draw on their work.
Okay.
It's just something that we don't do so that they're not taking it home with them and thinking they're not great. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Oh, yeah, say hugs are free. Satisfaction guaranteed.
Nice. So nice to be able to hug again. Even though, you know, as we all know, we're in the 6th
I'm still tattooing.
Cool. You still need
skin? I got skin lined up for days.
So busy, but I still would like to get a tattoo.
Okay. I'll just stick with my tattoos for making mistakes, so I'm hurting myself.
Well, Shona, I got to take the elevator out of here, so.
Thank you. Didn't I tell you? Isn't he the best? Thanks, Brian. You're the best. Okay, so we're just going to do the TikTok video, funny video of Baba Yaga, the terrible video. And so that's what we're doing. And there we go. It's
working away on Baba Yaga.
I've learned since how to do so many effects at once.
She will get you. She will only eat you if you're rude.
So don't be rude. That's what Baba Yaga doesn't like. She wants you to be respectful of others. That's what she wants.
So respect your elders.
Respect your elders, but respect people. Babies need respect as well. Don't treat them like dolls, please. Anyway, so here we go. We have been working on Baba Yaga, and I believe Baba Yaga and the Red Shoes will be finished about the same time. So the first video we have of Baba Yaga, I wanted to show you just the grinding of the teeth for the opening and grinding the opening to fit the teeth. So so that's up and running. So there we go. What I did is I put the frame back on and just got in there with my lovely grinding tool, and just and we love these tools. They're manicure tools. If anybody knows where to get them, please let us know. You get them from pedicure
manicure
supply shops. So
we'll pay handsomely for them.
yeah, they're over $20 a pop, but they're worth every penny. And then a little bit smaller grinding bit to get into those corners, so that when I get the teeth, I ground them out a little bit, and so now that I know the teeth will fit in there, I have to drill the teeth holes so that I can put wires through them and embed them in the needle, in the felted wool. So just first of all, I drill the hole, and then I use the drill to make the hole bigger, and that way for sure my wire will fit through. And again, the wire gets embedded in the wool and keeps the teeth from falling out. Because it's a real drag when our teeth start falling out, especially at my age. So there we go. And now, the next video, so I did that. So we've got this hole is much bigger, and the teeth are all ready to go. And then the next thing I did was, I think I got the branches. Oh no, then I wanted to show you one more TikTok video. I'm just digging the TikTok, and they're quick and they're easy. Well, actually, you do like 10 things to get one done. So the next one is the TikTok video.
Welcome to my studio.
Didn't get as many hits
Working on
this,
Baba
but it's
Yaga's
nice.
doll hut here these days. We have an owl skull perched on a deer femur. We have a stag leg that came with the stag skull. We're carving the antlers like chicken feet. We've got lilac branches for the arms. I think we're going to have fun.
So there you go. That's where.
Hello.
So
Welcome
now
to my
I want to show the video of getting those branches cut and ground and choosing. And then yesterday we chose the teeth for them, and Jennifer donated some of her wild teeth to me, to the cause. So let's take a look. I mean, of course, this took me a long time. As you can see, it's wiggling around, but getting really good at not making you do that. Watch the whole thing. So there's one arm for Baba with her hand. You can see the way the branches are coming out. It makes a nice little hand. And then I wanted this centerpiece, which was tricky. I actually was very tricky getting this little thing out of there, but there we go. Done. I just showed you the easy part. And then I had to grind off some of that, and it was even with my good grinding tool, which doesn't work on wood as well as it does on bone or metal. I ended up using my grinder. And here we go. Look this is the jar that Jennifer gave me, Laudeman.
I got the stickers from a fun little pack thing that my brother sent me online, and it had a bunch of these funny little stickers that you could put on jars, and that's the one I picked.
So, oh yeah, they're perfect, eh? Thanks, Jennifer. That's one. Definitely, those are your teeth. I had a couple in a drawer with a bunch of claws, which I'm turning into bird beaks. So there you go. That's done. Now it's just a question, again, always drilling the pieces that we're going to needle felt into the it'll be needle felting that holds the teeth in and gets the whole hand happening. I still haven't decided if I'm going to put in the beautiful eye stone in the palm of one of her hands. I may or may not. We'll just see how we feel. So those are really great. Okay, so off we go. So we got that done. And the other thing that we got very far is the pendant, but maybe we'll save that for next week. I think our time, we're trying to keep these videos a little shorter so that you can have fun while you're watching them. And that's the big word around here, fun. So I want to thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Check out my TikTok. It's Shona Ray 57 is my handle. We're also posting a lot of those videos on our Instagram, which is shona.ray, or I don't know. I've got two, but if you look up Shona Ray, you'll find both of them, the Blackboard and my personal Instagram. So, and like this and share it with your friends, please. And thank you very much, Jennifer and Brian, for coming in today. I would like to thank Ron Chikora, who was my technical consultant and teacher. I would like to thank the Camera Store for their infinite wisdom and wonderful help, as well as C-Space and all the tenants here, who it's such a pleasure to come to work here. I love it. And I would like to thank my studio mates Cindy Lee and Cherry Deacon, and as always, CADA, Calgary Arts Development, for making this project possible. And in the end, I always have to say a big thank you to Herb, who makes all my dreams come true. So there you go. See you on the 19th. Fade to black.